we're back, and this is Raven Maven. I'm here with another great episode. I have the wonderful and super talented, and also my best friend, Curize Richards with me. And she will, well, I'm going to actually let her introduce herself. That's been my thing lately. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Curry. So you have the spotlight.
You're gonna call me Curry on this video. Everyone knows. Hi, I am Curize Richards, and I am, in addition to Latoya's best friend, I am a media marketer, a consultant, a teacher, a creative, and all that other good stuff.
You are a Jill or a Jane of all trades, they would say.
Yeah, I guess I don't really like that. I don't like that term so much because sometimes I do equate it with when they say jack of all trades, master of nothing. Um,
Mm.
so I
That's the first time I've heard that. So
really,
I've
yeah.
heard of that.
So,
Yeah.
and I have several thoughts on that, but I mean, I feel like everyone has multiple talents, and if you have the ability to tap in um, all of those talents, then then I think we should all be praised to do so and not feel bad about it.
I totally agree with you. So this I'm just gonna get started. I guess what I want to talk about first is if you could just share with the audience about you being also like a media marketing expert or professional. You've been doing it for I know it has to be more than 10 years, right?
Entire career really out
Yeah.
college. So I did my undergrad in marketing. I have my bachelor's degree in marketing. And when I was still in school, when I was still doing undergrad, I actually got an internship at WBLS in here in New York, the radio station. At the time, it was privately owned by a Black family, Black owned. And it was a really, really great experience. And it was my first experience in media. Well, backtrack a little bit. Before that, you and I worked collaboratively on a digital magazine, which started off first as a print magazine, Sugar Magazine, that I founded and was the editor in chief of. And you were our creative director. And that was really me and you, our first project together, and our first real look at or attempt at some type of media company. And it was a success, and we ran it digitally for a little bit. And, it's one of those things that I'm just getting to the point where for a long time I felt like I failed at it because I stopped doing it.
Right.
But I literally just got to the place maybe like about a year ago where I'm like, no, it wasn't a failure at all. It was something that I was really excited about and really wanted to do. And for the time, knowing that we had never done anything like that, I feel like we were well equipped and we did a really great job.
Yeah.
So, so after that, I would say my first real step into the corporate world was working at BLS, and I started off as an intern, and from there I grew on to be a promotions assistant, right? Really doing street team stuff and doing street team hours on the street and doing part-time hours in the office, and I just grew a love for radio. And within 3 months of interning, they offered me a position, and I just stayed with the company. I grew with them, and I took the opportunity to really just learn the whole business and kind of how it ran. And an opportunity came up for a sales assistant position, which I wasn't crazy about at the time, but I figured, I'm looking for a full-time gig. Like, I'm becoming an adult. I want to step out on my own, and I took this opportunity to become a sales assistant there, and I supported around like 10 salespeople. And in stepping into that role, salespeople would come to me like, oh, well, I have this client, and do you have any ideas? Or I'm working on this PowerPoint presentation to pitch, I don't know, McDonald's,
Mm-hmm.
help with the presentation? Can you help with the proposal? And she was like, sure, like, let's see what this thing is. And in doing that, I realized that, wow, like I have this gift for ideation and brainstorming and really problem solving for
Right.
brands in the most creative way that I could. And in addition to that, I would actually write the proposals and write the pitch and design the pitch. And then I'm like, oh, this is like a thing. And then I started getting accolades for it at work. And
Wow.
yeah, it just started to blow. So I was a sales assistant, but I think people started looking at me as much more than that.
Right.
And that's kind of how I came on this path towards ad sales marketing.
Um, I wanted to ask you, but that being said, like the experience of you had like a set role before, and then you kind of ended up dabbling into conceptualization, ideation, and then taking idea, executing it, or pitching idea. Um, and you found that that's something you were comfortable and really interested in. Were there more, like a lot more opportunities that came up in your career that you experienced where you had like a certain role, but then it became, you found that you also loved something else and that became, part of it?
Yeah, for sure. I always say that, my motto, and I was definitely a grinder, I would say, stepping into BLS, like I wanted to do well. I wanted to succeed. I wanted for people to look at me as someone who was a go-getter. So anytime there was something that needed to be done, I would do it. And, so one of the things I always say is like, I don't believe in that's not my job. I
Right.
think that, and I got that too, not just for myself, but I saw that around me at the people who worked at BLS. Our GM at the time, as an intern or a street team person, we would be hanging banners or we would be disassembling things, and he would be right there with us.
Right.
So the leadership there really did things to make me say, wow, if this person can do things that are not within their scope and they're leading this whole company, there's no reason why I can't either. So I would always, anytime opportunity came up to do something that I hadn't done before, something that may not necessarily be in my scope of work, I would always rise to the occasion and try to do it. And I got it done. And I think that has kind of helped me in my career. And honestly, learning those things and stepping into the position as a sales assistant, I didn't even know that this ability to ideate and come up with concepts and really create solutions for brands and design it and pitch it and write the idea, really tell that story, was something that existed. I had no idea until, a friend of mine reached out to me. So I was at BLS for a couple of years, and then opportunity came up to go to Hot 97, and I was there for a couple of months, and then I went back to BLS. So there was like some overlapping there between starting at BLS, going to Hot, coming back, and then MS, who owns Hot 97 at the time, acquiring BLS. So there was a lot of overlap with the companies, a lot of overlap with people at those companies. That it was an interesting time. But when I finally left there for good, a friend of mine reached out to me about an opportunity at Meredith Publishing, and
Right.
she said, I know you're really good at this marketing, this ad sales marketing thing. There's a position here, and I think you'd be great. I never, outside of what I kind of taught myself at BLS, I had never, and a lot of the things that I've learned, I think, throughout my career have really been self-taught.
Wow.
Like, wow, okay, let's see what this thing is. And I sent her my resume, and they called me back, and within like 2 weeks, they offered me the job. And I think that was my first real purview into the importance of ad sales marketing in media,
Right.
and it really helped me hone in that skill. And I think that's really in that role is where I really flourished, and where I really learned the ins and outs of what it means to be an ad sales marketer, and what it really means to come up with solutions for brands for whatever their problem is.
So today you're no longer at Meredith. So if you could share with us where you are today and your role at your current company. I know, but I would like for you to tell us.
Yeah, so I currently am a creative director at Cats Media, which is a subsidiary of iHeartMedia. And essentially, what Cats is, it's a rep firm that represents radio stations and television stations across the country, as well as
Hmm.
platforms, digital assets. So I sit in the radio team, which is funny that it kind of came full circle, playing and like me starting in radio and now still being in that audio space. So what I do is pretty much the same thing now, really coming up with solutions for brands, developing ideas for them, really helping, coaching, working very closely with the ad sales team to come up with solutions for our brands and leveraging the assets that we have to offer.
Right.
Um, so and for us it's not that it's difficult, but coming from a place where I worked at places that the company itself owned its own assets. Cats is a little different in that we don't own our assets. We are selling like aggregated assets that other radio stations and television stations owns, so it's a little different. um, there's some limitation in terms of how big we can get an idea,
Right.
without kind of stepping on the actual owner of the asset's toes. So it is, it's interesting.
Um, I wanted to touch on, I know that, let me just pin this back here. So I know that in 2017, you were featured in Radio Ink magazine. And I just want to share with everybody. There's a quote in there that you said that, again, to me really resonates, just like not only your work ethic, but your character. So I just wanted to share that. I love to learn, and not being afraid to step outside of my box has allowed me to diversify my skills and experience. And I know a lot of people don't may not know this is like a industry news, like a newsletter or news magazine, right? Correct? Am I correct or wrong? Okay.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It's a
So
magazine, yeah, for the
yeah.
industry.
But I wanted to say, what strikes me with that is just like, you the way that you look at things. I always found that what was interesting to me about you as a person, knowing you for so long, is that you always take every opportunity and you treat it as if it is an opportunity. Like you don't downplay it, you don't box yourself in, you don't say no, I can't do this. You just like jump in and figure out how it makes sense for you and how you can excel in that area. And I really just I like being I'm so happy that we're friends and I know you and I know that's part of your character, but I feel like that also like rubbed off on me and like other friends that I have that are professionals in their career. We all have like the same type of mindset that's like, if you have lemons, make lemonade, or even if you don't, like whatever the situation is, you should look at it as a chance for you to grow. So speaking of growth, I wanted to go into your new project that you're working on, which is Acclivity. And I think it would be really it could if you could like just share with them how Acclivity, what it is and how it came to be, because I know that you also have a passion for teaching. So I think it would be great if people could like get that connection.
Sure. So Acclivity started, I'll start from the beginning with me kind of being the go-to for a lot of my friends and family when it comes to helping with career development, right? So I was in a space where at this point I'd been at a few different companies, and I consider myself to be a chronic job hopper, and I'm constantly looking at jobs and constantly applying to jobs. So I have a sense for like what's in the market. Um, and, people would just come to me for my advice. And in doing that, I found that I would talk to people, give them advice, and it would actually help them. Like I would do over their resumes, I would talk to them about negotiating, and the people around me who tapped into me, they would actually find jobs, or
Right.
they would get the job that I recommended for them, and they would use the resume that I gave them, and then they would actually negotiate the way that I told them, and it worked out, worked in their benefit. And in tandem, while I was doing that, I also knew that long term, one of my goals was to teach college. Not anytime soon, but I figured I'm like, when I'm retired and I'm bored, maybe it's something I could do
Dude.
with a little money.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, cool. I need to get experience because I've never taught, anywhere. And I started applying to adjunct positions and part-time instructor positions all across the city and all across Jersey. And I just, no one would reach back out. And I got it because I had no experience in the space. And then there was a college close by where we lived in Jersey. And I reached out to them. They had a non-credit program, and they would have PowerPoint classes and social media classes and all these different positions open. And I kept reaching out. Like I would keep applying, and I wouldn't hear anything. So one day I just picked up the phone and I called like the dean of marketing, and I didn't get her, and I got another woman. And I said, I've been, trying to see if you guys have any positions available that you're looking for instructors for. And she said, well, nothing that aligns right now with your skills. But she's like, we actually do have, we have an opportunity for people to pitch classes to the school. So it's like, oh, well, maybe that's something I can consider. So um, after that call, I started researching the school, and I found that they didn't have a career development course for their non-credit class or their actual curriculum for their programs. So I said, well, this is a great opportunity. Let me see what I could do. So I developed a syllabus and I sent it to them. And I sent it over, and maybe within a couple of days, actually, no, I sent it over and I didn't hear anything. I'm like, geez, I don't know what happened. I didn't hear anything. So a few months later, I followed up, and someone replied and said the person who I sent it to initially no longer worked for the school.
Oh.
That's why I hadn't heard back. But this woman that followed up with me, she sent it over to the new person who was hired, which was like their director of non-credit programs. And she then reached back out to me and said, hey, I'd love to schedule an interview with you for you to come in and tell me about this course. So I went in, I spoke to her about the course, and she hired me on the spot to actually teach the program. And I was like,
Wow.
wow, okay, well, this is new. I've never done this before, but I always believe that if it's something that's not totally out of your wheelhouse, there's no reason why you can't try. Like, I mean, I'm not going to go perform surgery on someone, right? But if it's something that I feel like I have the core competencies to do, then there's no reason why I can't try. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened. So I started teaching this course, and I've been doing that for about 3 years now, a couple times every semester on the weekend. And it's like so fulfilling and so rewarding. And at first I was a little nervous because I feel like, people know how to write a resume. People know how to write a cover letter. They know how to negotiate. They know how to dress for an interview. They know what to ask for. And in teaching my class, I realized people really didn't know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's to know that I was sitting in a room, really in my classes, I have a multitude of demographics. I have young people, older people, I mean, women who are in their 50s looking to change careers. I have people who are just entering their career. I mean, different ages, different races, different genders, and everyone really, I find, is not very confident in that space. And
Right.
I was like, this is really something that people need. And I started getting, when people started learning about what I was doing, they would ask me like, hey, can you come to my church and give, teach your course, or can you talk to my kid about your course? And then, Aya, which is one of your friends slash business partners, also reached out to you like, hey, can you come to my Brunch and Boost event and talk about negotiations? So it kind of started to spiral like that. And so my whole plan had really been to kind of package that,
Right.
and not more, that for me is more so about the purpose, because I get so much joy out of hearing people say, oh my gosh, I got a new job, thank you so much for your help. And it's really been fulfilling, and that's kind of what spawned Acclivity. My whole purpose with Acclivity is just to continue doing that purpose work and really helping. For me, more so, I want to help um, minorities. Like that's the purpose of Acclivity, to really help Black people kind of navigate this corporate world, because it's not an easy feat for us. And there's so many boundaries and so many restrictions, and a lot of us don't necessarily have a precedent or someone to guide us,
Right.
right? Because especially like me, as a young Black woman from, not just, I was going to say as a parent of immigrants, but me being an immigrant myself, like being
Right.
born in that and coming here, my parents didn't know what it was. They didn't know what corporate America was. Like, they kind of figured it out as they went along. And a lot of that stuff, they weren't able to teach me, so I had to figure it out. And I think a lot of us are kind of in that space. And for me, Acclivity is just a platform that allows people to learn. And it just gives them the resources that they need to, one, to thrive in the corporate world, two, make as much money as they can doing it, and three,
Right.
shrink the wage gap for all of us in the process.
Right. I'm really proud that you said that, because, my goal with Raven Maven is to just expose and highlight people like us, Black people, in our fields, in our profession, or our expertise, and sharing that wisdom and knowledge. And I also am a product of Acclivity. Curize was able to help me secure a 21% salary increase from my previous job. I'm now in a totally different industry. So I'm really excited about what Acclivity is going to, as it grows and the more people you're going to help. I really am confident that it's definitely going to change the world and change the Black experience in corporate America, because it's very challenging. A lot of us don't know how to navigate it. And I think it's a blessing to have people like you in the world who really want to do something about it, who want to change that paradigm, change that story. Um, so I wanted to switch over and just talk about what for you are your, hopes, or what else can we expect from you in 2020? We already got Corona canceled summer, so so now
Well, yes, for summer, but it gave me time to like launch Acclivity. So
I know, right? This is the opportunity, right? Just to do
yeah,
whatever you want to do, just jump out the window and do it.
I truly believe like this is the time in which you're gonna see who talks the talk and walks the walk, because so many people say that, oh, there's so many things I want to do, but I don't have the time. All we
Right.
have is time right now.
Yep.
So there's no reason why everyone who has a dream, or anyone who has something that they want to do, can't do it right now. I think it's the perfect time. I mean, there's so much stuff I have. Like, I think for me, one of the biggest ones was really just launching Acclivity. So I'm glad that I've done that, and I just want to continue to be active with it. And I'm gonna say this on here so I can hold myself accountable, which is I do start a podcast for Acclivity to have those kind of corporate
Woohoo!
yeah, conversations with people, because I think it's a lot of things that we don't think about that goes into just living like this corporate 9 to 5 life as Black people. It's not easy.
Nope.
um, and again, it's so I walk into rooms, sometimes I'm in the elevator, I sit in boardrooms, and the majority of the time I am the youngest um, Black woman in the room.
Yeah.
Or, well, most of the time I'm the only Black woman in the room, and I'm young
Yeah.
in comparison, right? So that I think I we shouldn't be where it's 2020. We should no longer be the anomaly in the room. There should be more of us. We should be better represented in the corporate world, and I think that's like my main goal. In addition to that, like I just have a few other things that I'm working on. Like I'm currently I'm the executive producer for Do Say Friday podcast, which
Cool.
is a podcast hosted by hip hop veteran Memphis Bleek, Will Carter, who's the nephew of Jay-Z, and Puzo. And it's like a really, really fun show. I have a relationship with Bleak because his wife is also one of my best friends. And, he gave me a call one day and, asked me for some marketing advice about one thing. And then he called me again and asked me about something else, and it kind of spiraled. And then one day he's like, we need a producer for this podcast. And I was
Tap
just like,
that shoulder.
again, I know within reach, it's within my wheelhouse. There's no reason why.
Right.
And I've kind of been with them for a couple of months now. The thing is that we were just about to start recording when Corona hit,
Right.
literally like the week before. So we've been, I think from the time I joined them to now, we've made a lot of progress, like with the brand name of the show, and just setting ourselves up for when we do start recording again. So we're really, really excited. I'm really excited about that. Glad to be a part of the team. And I know the guys are really hyped. And we've been doing like little things in the interim. We're doing like happy hour lives on Instagram just to keep people engaged and keep the brand going until we're actually back and ready to record. So that's another thing I have going on. And in addition to that, I think, my next big thing is I wanna I'm working on something to be able to just help brands
Mm-hmm.
solve problems.
Right.
That's kind of where I am, and really be able to reach the multicultural demographic in the most authentic way possible.
Right.
Uh, so that's something that I'm working on right now. We'll see. Still kind of under wraps, but it has to. It's not there yet, but it will be.
Well, I'm excited for that. We're gonna wrap up, but I know that all your endeavors are gonna be successful because you are a very driven person, and I just know that everything's gonna blow up, and I'm gonna be Gail. Like that's my friend. So just tell our lovely audience where they could find you on social media, where they could find Do Say Friday, the podcast, because I also listen to it. Or they could catch up while we're waiting to get into the next season. So if you
Yeah.
could drop that information and also drop the info on Acclivity, that'd be great. And also they will be able to find it down in the bottom in the details. So but you could just share it here for us real quick.
So you can follow me on Instagram at Fancy Reese. Also for Do Say Friday, we are on YouTube, so you could just do a quick search for Do Say Friday on YouTube, SoundCloud, DoSayFriday.com, at Do Say Friday. So we're everywhere. I feel like if you will find it somewhere on Google. And then Acclivity can be found at acclivity.com, as well as at Acclivity across all social channels. So, and on LinkedIn as well.
So thank you so much, Curry, for I call her Curry guy, sorry, but that's my nickname. You can't don't go
No,
up to her if you see her in the street calling her Curry. She's gonna
no,
look at you
I
like you
will.
dumb. But I want to say thank you for being a guest on Raven Maven. I want you guys to make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this episode. Leave comments. The more you engage, the better it is for the show. The more we can grow. And you can find us, on Instagram at Raven Maven Show or on YouTube. And that's a wrap. So stay tuned for more. Thank
Yeah.
you.